Church of God in Christ has churches in 57 nations of this earth of ours. And we must be aware of the conditions that our churches face, and we must have the knowledge and influence necessary to assist and support our people wherever they are. I hope to become a full member of the Council on Foreign Relations very shortly. As a global organization, we need global awareness, global exposure, and global influence. I traveled to Africa last August, along with Chief Counsel Enoch Perry and a delegation of approximately 30 other individuals. We visited several of the more than 400 orphan care programs sponsored by Save Africa's Children in 24 nations on the continent of Africa. We worshiped at several churches and held meetings with ministers and leaders, both from the Church of God in Christ and from interdenominational circles. We were blessed to send Bishop Moody and Bishop Bobby Henderson to Nigeria, where there are thousands of churches of God in Christ. They consecrated 15 of the major Nigerian religious leaders who are members of the Church of God in Christ as bishops of various geographic areas and various gatherings of churches. And those bishops, on the average, have approximately 200 churches each in their jurisdictions. I traveled to Brazil and conducted a crusade with Bishop Samuel Moore and the more than 100 churches of God in Christ in the nation of Brazil. Many souls were saved, and we enjoyed wonderful fellowship with the saints in Brazil. And before moving to the next item, let me preface it by saying that in 1945, at the close of World War II, Senior Bishop C.H. Mason sent a white Church of God in Christ pastor by the name of Logan Delk to New York to be a signatory to the United Nations Charter. In 1948, the United Nations issued the Statutes of the Genocide Convention and the Proclamation of Human Rights in 1948, which was a condemnation of and a prohibition of human rights atrocities and cruelty. 6 million Jews had been killed by the Nazis. And again in 1955, Bishop Mason again sent Pastor Delk and Dr. Arena C. Mallory to sign the UN Charter on the 10th anniversary of the same. And then during the latter part of the year 2008, I was invited to participate in the drafting of and the signing of a faith in human rights document celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Human Rights Declaration. These events were to take place at The Hague in the Netherlands. I could not go. Therefore, I sent Dr. Oscar Owens, who was a Christian education director at West Angeles Church, to the first drafting session. And I sent Dr. David Hall, head of the Kojic Publishing House, to the signing ceremony. How proud I am to have walked in the footsteps and in the tradition of our founder, the late Bishop Charles Harrison Mason. Genocide and a host of atrocities still continue in this our day. In Rwanda, 800,000 to 1 million people were killed within a period of 100 days. The year was 1994, and black Hutus slaughtered black Tutsis until the streets and the soil were red with blood. In the Congo, 5.4 million people have died in that genocide. In Bosnia, Milosevic was charged with involvement in the killing of some 200,000 people. 2 million people were displaced in Bosnia. In the Sudan, Darfur, 300,000 Africans have been killed, and 2.5 million Africans have been driven from their homes. In many parts of the world, young boys 9 and 10 years of age are being forced to become soldiers, killing and themselves being killed. Young girls are being forced into prostitution and into marriage at the age of 11 and 12 years old. Soldiers are indiscriminately raping defenseless women, and a host of other atrocities are taking place around the world. Milosevic of Bosnia, Charles Taylor of Liberia have been brought to The Hague in the Netherlands, the seat of the War Crimes Tribunal and the seat of the International Criminal Court. Both of these are divisions of the United Nations, where one, Milosevic, is on trial, and the other, Charles Taylor, will hopefully soon be brought to trial. A warrant has been issued for the arrest of President Omar al-Bashir of the Sudan, demanding that he be arrested and brought to The Hague for trial. Each of these men are widely suspected of committing, mandating, and encouraging genocide. Now, even those who criticize my signing of these documents, and I did not sign them, Brother David Hall signed them, but many who thought I signed them, they agree that the documents are focused on preventing and speaking against torture and against genocide and against various forms of bondage and oppression. And the fundamental criticism that they make is that homosexual advocates and activists may use the documents to support their efforts to legalize homosexual marriage and other same-sex initiatives. In other words, they would say the documents are not wrong, they are not evil, they are good. But people may use them to support evil and detrimental objectives. Therefore, they would assert that those documents, which on the face are good, should not be signed and should not be supported. But my response is, this attempt to abuse this document should be refuted and denounced when the attempt to do so takes place, and not at the origination or even at the evaluation of a good document itself. You don't say it's good, but it's bad, because somebody may abuse it. Any good thing can be abused, but you don't throw it away or judge it as evil because it can be abused.